Now, how to be always prepared for the vendor audits, because most organizations, they don't really do that. So to prepare for the vendor audits, you need to make sure that you are always conducting regular mock-ups, regular compliance checks. And by mock-ups, I mean you do a mock-up audit within your organization as if it's a vendor audit, but it's done by your internal teams against your internal teams. So your teams would be completely ready. And again, having a centralized repository would help big time in such a case, because once you have everything in one place, including documentation, licensing, and everything else, you know exactly where to look for, what to find, and how to present it. Monitoring the patterns of the licenses through the SAM tools can enable you to quickly generate reports. A lot of tools produce amazing reports when it comes to certain software publishers, and you can easily get their reports, and those reports are actually verified and authorized by the software publishers. So for example, one of the software, Oracle, they can accept the reports that are generated by Snow Software. Previously it was Snow, now it's acquired by Flexera. So they can accept the report that's generated by Flexera. So they accept those because they're authorized by them. So similarly, Microsoft might have authorized something. I don't have the list right now, but you can check online which software publishers authorize which software asset management tools. So you can, depending on what you have in your organization, it makes an easy decision. Because if, let's say, Flexera is authorized by Microsoft and by Oracle, and you are running on Oracle and Microsoft, hey, buy Flexera. Or USU is authorized by IBM, and you've got a multi-million-dollar deployment of IBM, go for USU. So it depends. It depends on what your requirements are and when and how you want to do. But this is one of the preparation steps. Now, maintaining accurate records, as I mentioned before, it's super important. Conducting mock-up audits, then engage with the vendors. That's another important thing, having the right relation with the vendors and making sure that they are engaged in your audit activities. Like, one of the funny things that happens is when the vendor comes to audit, they think the customer or you would think that, hey, the vendor is coming to take my money. Yes, they are, because you're using their software. But at the same time, they're not your enemies. So one of the best ways to do it, do a sort of a proper vendor audit, is to engage with the vendor all the time, throughout the year. Now, you're engaging with the vendor throughout the year, but you're looking at what they have, and as per the sales teams or the pre-sales team or the technical team or the vendor are coming and introducing you, inviting you to the events and whatnot, they're introducing their software offerings, stuff that they're coming up with which can be beneficial for your business. They're inviting you for that. But if you have got a proper relationship with the vendor and show them, hey, this is my SAM practice, these are my SAM tools, and I am utilizing this to ensure that I'm not under licensed. So I'm making sure that I'm paying you what I'm using, right? So I'm not over licensed, I'm not under licensed, and this will help me. So this is my consultant who's helping me out. This is my entire practice. So you engage them early on, so they will know exactly what you're on about, and they will actually provide you the support, because believe me, they're there to provide the support. So they will provide the support, ensuring that you get the best out of their software, you're always compliant, and you're never in hot waters, for example, to say. Now, fixing issues immediately is another aspect that, the moment you find that something is there, let's say a stale software that has been sitting in your virtual machine number 1020 in your data center, and you found out through your SAM tool that this has been sitting there for 3 months expired, and your audit is coming in next 3 months, or maybe it's next month or something like that, you might want to clear that out. So you need to make sure that you're completely compliant. You have paid for everything that you're using, as in the production deployments, and at the same time, you don't have anything that has been expired, that's not there, that was sitting there for a year or something like that, you might want to clean that up and make sure that it's always exactly what you've paid for. That's what you're using in your business. And if you have to buy what you have tested, you should go for it, right? You should go ahead and buy those, making a sort of a purchase request. Another question that gets asked a lot is what is the right time to start for the vendor audits? Now, and it varies from organization to organization. So larger organizations start about 6 months to 8 months ahead of time, looking into what they have and whatnot. And some organizations start 3-4 months ahead of time. SMDs, they start, corporates, they start probably a month ahead of time, or maybe just a week, I don't know. But it depends. It depends on what the initiatives are. But preparing for vendor audits should be an ongoing process. And it should not be a last-minute rush where you end up making mistakes, where you end up buying stuff that you don't need, overpaying for stuff. For example, licenses are complex. They are available in server-based models, processor-based models, user-based models, concurrent licenses, then cloud-based licenses, and then multiple flavors of cloud-based licenses. Virtual machines, if you're looking in Azure, AWS, or Google Cloud, there are multiple flavors of virtual machines. Now, when you plan that, you don't know exactly what your workload would support. Now, the best way to do it is, let's say if you're planning to host 50 virtual machines in Azure, and you're seeing that there might be some additional projects coming out and whatnot, put 20 to 25% buffer on your purchase. Similarly, going for the licenses, very same. 20 to 25% buffer, but not 50, not 100. Not double down, not buy the wrong license. Look, if processor-based licenses can help you do your job better and actually stay compliant and be able to produce the results that your business needs, you should consider that. If a server-based licensing model is there, this stuff can either be provided to you by the vendor or better provided by your own SAM consultant, a third-party unbiased consultant. We're going to be talking about that later in the video. But yeah, these are the kind of things that you need to consider to get started with. Now, you need to do year-round preparation. What this means is maintain an audit readiness throughout the year by regularly updating software inventory, tracking the usage, ensuring compliance, and this actually reduces the workload towards the audits. But it's best done when you do it through a tool which automates the entire process. So you don't really have to worry about everything. Like, you can do your software tracking, new software deployments, authorizations, reporting, and everything else. So basically, you're taking nearly about 80% work off your head and giving it to the tool, which is rightly configured. And if you have got an ITSM, it's completely sort of like the entire thing is, the entire circle is complete. And then you just need to make sure that you get the right reports at the right time when you need it. Now, if you're asking, why do I need year-round preparation? The approach ensures continuous compliance with the software licensing requirements, agreements, reducing the risk of non-compliance and associated penalties. The regular monitoring and optimization of software usage can help identify unused and underutilized softwares, leading to cost savings that can be reinvested. Then optimizing the costs, continuously monitoring software assets, you can quickly identify and address the potential risks, such as unauthorized installations or outdated software, reducing the likelihood of getting hacked, right? And again, planning ahead of time never hurts. Quarterly reviews is something you might want to look at. So even if you have the tool, you've got the consultant, you need to make sure you have got quarterly reviews. Conduct quarterly reviews quarterly mock sessions with your team to look at your software estate and compliance. Now these reviews should focus on identifying and addressing any changes in software usage, licensing needs, or potential risks. So every quarter you see, okay, fine, maybe 100 people joined the company, but 20 of them left. So you might want to change your licensing structure there, or maybe 100 people left or 20 people joined, something like that. It depends. It depends how your business is growing. Or in terms of mergers and acquisitions, there's another thing that you need to look into, how you're merging your licenses with the company that you're merging with, or you're getting acquired by, or you're acquiring some company. So again, I mean, a lot of technicalities there. This video, I mean, it's out of scope for this video, but I mean, these are some of the aspects that you might want to understand and look into. Now, annual audits. Now, consider Microsoft. You have got an enterprise agreement that you have done for 3 years. They keep changing the terminology of enterprise agreement. I don't know what they're calling these days, but whatever they're calling, you get the gist. So annual internal. So let's think about like Microsoft. You've done an EA for 3 years, right? Now you will only go back and touch what's going on with Microsoft when there's a time for renewal. So let's say you did an agreement in 2022. So you'll be touching that back again in 2025, roughly. What we should be doing is we should be looking into it every year, about the position, about the potential true ups, potential true downs, potential investments that Microsoft can support you with to increase the licensing usage. So as I was mentioning before, if you've got an E5 plan, at the end of the year, you review that most of your users are sitting on E1 or E3 functionality, but you've already paid for E5 for 3 years. Now, makes no sense, right? So instead of truing down, you might want to get Microsoft and your system integrator to help you incorporate those technologies, the functionality that's provided within the E5 plan. Productivity, I mean, there are a lot of things. So you can deploy Power Platform apps. You can utilize Power BI for your analytics. You can utilize advanced features coming through Delve and through other software that are included as a part of the whole ecosystem. So you might want to, like once you're doing the internal audit of Microsoft licenses, hey, we pay for this, we're not using this. Through your software asset management tool, you got to know that you're utilizing just an E1 functionality. So you might want to look into like not downgrading, but how to utilize this, how to make sure that the users are onboarded with this and they're using this functionality. Because to be honest, it will save you a lot of time. And now with the Copilot, things are changing big time. So you might want to so that is one of the advantages of doing the annual audits, because you know exactly where you are. Similarly, if you're for Oracle Cloud, if you're on Oracle Cloud, you're not utilizing the full functionality, go ahead, make sure you talk to Oracle, and they will be able to support you with increasing the sort of like the workload that you're handling or whatever you're trying to achieve when it comes to your decision of particular software procurement. Now let's look at a quick example of the risk that you face if you don't have a SAM practice in place. Now, proactive, I mean. So let's consider an organization with 2,000 users utilizing software from Microsoft, Adobe, Oracle, SAP, and other publishers. Now, without proactive SAM, you're exposed to certain financial risks. One is non-compliance penalties. So in case like Oracle's non-compliance penalties goes up to 30% of the TCV, which is total contract value. So if you have got Oracle worth of $5 million and you're found in non-compliance, you're looking at $1.5 million worth of penalties. Over licensing cost can like if you have bought more than you needed and it's staying there for a year, 2 years, 3 years, annually it can cost an all-up sum of nearly up to $1 million, depending on how big your organization is. It can be more, it can be less. Another thing is under licensing penalties. So let's say, for example, Microsoft, you have got 5,000 users, you have licensed just 4,800. Now that's 200 in under license, and because you thought that it's a buffer and people keep coming, people going, you're working with a lot of consultants and whatnot. So looking at the entire landscape of this and making sure that you're actually utilizing the right kind of licensing scheme provided from Microsoft, or you risk facing up to 25% in penalties for under licensing, which is something you might want to avoid at all the costs. So then there's operational inefficiencies, again, like outdated software or the software that's unauthorized, that's deployed, potential cybersecurity risk, and unnecessary exposure. Overall, if you don't have the right kind of SAM practice or right kind of practice for managing and maintaining your licenses, depending on organization size, you are at a risk of anywhere between $500,000 to $5 million. And $5 million is just for an average organization. It can be a lot more depending on how big your organization is. But that's the kind of exposure you're looking at, both in terms of non-compliance, penalties, overpaying, or in general, and the risk faced by the organization, depending on what kind of solution that you have deployed, which can be exposing you to the internet to potential risk from the hackers. A high-level mitigation strategy that you can deploy is implement a robust SAM program. That's a no-brainer, including regular audits, continuous monitoring, optimization software. Engage a SAM consulting firm or get yourself a third-party SAM consultant to work within your organization, and that can support with ongoing monitoring and making sure that everything is up to date and tracked. Now, consulting firm brings in a lot of expertise with complex licensing agreements. They've got different people working on Oracle, on IBM, SAPs, and Microsoft. So working with them directly would get you access to 5, 10, 20 specialists that can support you in your different licensing models that you have. There'll be a certain fee, but it's always worth it to have a tool and a consulting firm or a consultant on board. Invest in automated SAM tools. So you might want to look at the best tool that fits your requirements, whether you're in cloud, on-prem, hybrid, depending on what you have. So it can help you, once you select that, you can automate 80% of your workload and make sure that it's human error free. So it doesn't really make the errors like humans. You just put the information in once, you put the contract start in, and then you start analyzing the data. And at the same time, you set a few policies, set a few rules, and you're good to go. One more important aspect for mitigation is regular training of the IT staff, particularly the system administrators, database administrators, IT managers, people who are authorized to deploy software in your organization. Now, as I mentioned, many organizations have got these strict rules around role-based access. So not everyone, an end user cannot deploy anything. If you've got a proper organization, end user cannot deploy anything on your system, but others, the administrators, the people who have got access, the admin rights and whatnot, you need to properly train them, make sure they understand the implications and the cost that the business can suffer, or the reputation loss